And to all the viewers, let me share, I'm very happy today because I have with me Shilpa Ajwani ma'am. I know her for the last 2 years now, since her Tupperware days. Now she has become an entrepreneur as a CEO of a company called Uno Mantra, which is a business consultancy firm working in sectors like beauty and fashion, healthcare and wellness, food and beverages, and many others. She's also been awarded as a CEO of the Year 2017 by Economic Times Polymar Awards. Thank you so much, Shilpa ma'am, for doing this. But before I shoot my questions, I want to ask you one thing. How have you been? It's been 2 years, MD to an entrepreneur. How has the journey been for you?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I think I enjoyed my stint as an intrapreneur because I think I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, leading very entrepreneurial businesses and entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs all my life, and then to make that foray and live their life. I feel I've grown, I've learned new skills, I've made new networks, new connections, and met some really wonderful people. And what a time to be an entrepreneur, right? So many opportunities around us and amazing dreams to be fulfilled, Jackson. So here I am, happy to be with you.
Superb. I'm so happy. So let's talk about the current things which are in trend, coronavirus. And because we both belong to a business fraternity, I want to ask you, as a business coach and consultant yourself, what changes do you see in the customer's demand when it comes to buying lifestyle products because of this coronavirus situation?
Sure. So firstly, I hope everybody listening and seeing us out there is safe and you are all upbeat as well. This is certainly not the end of the world. We are going through a pandemic and I think we will hit a new normal when it comes to working and living both. I work a lot in the lifestyle domain, the consumer and lifestyle domain, like you said. Fashion, beauty, wellness, nutrition, food and beverages, contemporary living. So definitely the impact on consumer demand has been unusual and it has been really sudden. On one hand, we see the revenues of the consumer and lifestyle companies drying up, even though there was demand, and there is latent demand where we suddenly cannot stop living and stop consuming, right? But at the same time, I think with the extended lockdowns, a lot of us have been forced to reflect upon what's essential in our life and what's really not so essential. Yes, so we are going to be making perhaps different lifestyle choices in the near term, while a lot of normalcy, as we have seen it before, might start to kick in bit by bit, more in the medium and long term.
True.
And as I work with a lot of entrepreneurs as their business coach, also do a fair bit of business strategy consulting, I think the kind of conversations we are having, centered around the fact that, things like grocery retail might come back a little bit faster. Again, a lot of it will move digital, online versus the offline stores. So there are shoppers who have made their first ever online purchases for the first time in this lockdown. So definitely that's going to be something people are not going to go back on once they've discovered the ease and the convenience and the savings. Things like fashion, Jackson, apparel, jewelry, gemstones, these are going to take time. And from a recent survey that the industry had conducted, it looks like it's almost going to be a year before demand starts to kick back and come back to normal. Similar for things like dining out. We are not going to be in a hurry to dine out, to go watch the next movie that is being on its day. So these are going to be different lifestyle choices that we would be making. On the other hand, consumer durables, while a lot of them will miss the summer season this time, and that's a very big sales peak for them, would tend to come back quite fast compared to, say, if you look at fashion again or jewelry, right? So these are domains that will have a better and faster revival. Mm-hmm. Again, within consumer electronics, accessories which aid in virtual conferencing, work from home, those are going to go up, and they're already up. There's a huge latent demand.
Correct.
A lot of people want to upgrade their smartphones. They want to upgrade their Wi-Fi connections.
Correct.
So all of those are different lifestyle choices people are going to be making. So definitely demand hit big time short term, but a lot of it is latent. It will start to come back. Short-term behavior will be different. So for example, you see that yoga mats is one of the highest selling items in the US at this point in time. Okay. Yeah, but we don't expect it to stay at number one for the next 5 years, for example. Yeah. So medium to long term, consumers will normalize and come back to different lifestyle choices as well.
So is it right to say that the demand is shifting from from the want to need? We are moving more on the essentials now. Would it be correct to say that?
Absolutely. I think what the lockdowns or the COVID-19 situation has forced us to do is we've been pushed down on the Maslow's hierarchy.
Yeah.
And suddenly needs like safety, security, hygiene, these have become paramount. Yeah, survival is on the top of minds for everybody. So that's where you see the rush for sanitizers, masks, the Lysols and the Dettol's of the world. And then that's something that I think will be a conscious choice consumers would continue to make. We will not go back on that consumption, but will it stay as high? Maybe not, especially once the COVID vaccine is discovered and it gets from trial stage to large scale adoption stage. So that's one. But I would definitely want to make a comment on the luxury industry. Now that's very, very interesting because luxury will have to completely redo their business models. And, they will need to become more purposeful in terms of offering luxury. Consumers will look for purpose, sustainability, clean ingredients when they start to consume brands as well. So that's a big change that we are going to notice in the future too.
Amazing. I'm really glad that you're sharing all these things. And the yoga example is really turning out to be very true, that people are moving into essentials. So having said that, the change in the dynamics of the customer demands, I would ask you particularly about the MSME, the micro SMEs. Okay. So what do you think? What role will MSME play in shaping the economy post COVID-19?
So MSMEs, Jackson, have been called the backbone of the Indian economy, right? There are 70 million MSMEs in the country today. 1 in 10 people employed in the country are in an MSME,
right?
110 million people employed by them, and they constitute about 95% of all businesses. So definitely, I think their role was already considered extremely important when we were talking about the $5 trillion Indian economy by 2025. But now I think they will play an amazingly important role because we want our people back at work. We want our young population. India has the youngest population in the world. We want that young population to be employed gainfully. We want demand generation coming back, and we, really look at our MSMEs as important parts of our value chain when it comes to even supplying to the mid-sized or the large-size organizations. So I really feel that they will continue to play an extremely important role. The only aspect I want to highlight here is that we need to take care of them. They are so vital for us. And, at the end of April, I want to share this, a survey was conducted. And at that time, out of all the startups and MSMEs that were interviewed, 47% of them said, this is at the end of April, right? Okay. They said that we have barely a month's cash available at this point in time. So that is the kind of urgency with which we need to look at their pain. We need to really come in big support in all possible ways. And if liquidity is their biggest need at this point in time because they are cash strapped, then I think every stimulus is too small. And we really need a lot and on an ongoing basis. Not for a month or 2 or a year. I think this will take about 2 years for a complete sort of rehaul of how they think, how they operate, and how they make money.
So that 2 years will be a long time for them to survive. Yes. Because I also read something about MSMEs that they are the job creators of this economy. And if they don't have cash flows which exceeds 30 days, then it's going to be a big challenge for them, not only to survive, also to sustain or to contain the business that they're currently in. So yeah, I totally agree and resonate with you. What role do you think now the digital economy, the digital world will play? We have been, you spoke about at the beginning that people are now coming online and doing conferencings and all those things that people are out. So online world is now the new essential. I want to ask you, what will be the role of digitalization, in the healthcare industry? Because while in other industries people have adapted to digital technologies, healthcare is one industry which is now being exposed to a lot of new issues and challenges in life and in their business. So what do you think will be the role of digitalization in healthcare industry?
That's such an interesting question, and it is a coincidence that yesterday I was conducting a business coaching session for a founder of a healthcare startup.
Okay.
They as a couple are doctors, and we were exactly discussing this, that how the whole it took a pandemic for healthcare to wake up and understand the importance of adopting digital technologies. Digitization, I think, has come very late to the healthcare as an industry. They have been seen as one of the laggards when it comes to adoption. But I really feel that there will be several changes that we will see, because the benefits are so immense. True. Right? And now as governments will wake up to the fact that they need to spend much more on healthcare. When the, people like you and me, I think they're going to prioritize having health insurance, getting through our diagnosis, getting the test done, working on our immunity. So everything from prevention to cure, using both traditional and modern healthcare mechanisms, I think really will benefit from digitization. So I see the adoption really increase in the coming 5 to 10 years for sure. It has already started at an amazing rate. It will improve the speed and the accuracy of diagnosis. Firstly, I think that's really going to be a big USP when we work through technology rather than manual systems. Secondly, I think with the increased penetration of smartphones, M-health, mobile health or telehealth is becoming a very big reality. Look at a country like India. 70% is rural, 30% is urban. Where do most of our doctors live? They live in urban areas. So there's a big deficit between the patient who's in need and the doctor who can cure. And that's where technology will play an extremely important role in doing a more viable patient-doctor connect. In any case, I think by 2030, world over, we're going to see about a 12.9 million deficit in skilled healthcare workers. And that's where, if technology is adopted, that's our only chance of reaching out and giving patients the care they deserve. Another important aspect that is being highlighted now is the importance and the ability of patients to pay for very advanced personalized healthcare. So if I can do a more thorough genetic profiling, and that's only possible when I have access to, information, technology, and the ability for doctors to collaborate, share, communicate, and build on each other's expertise. That's going to be a very, very big movement, as I anticipate, that can start to happen as healthcare starts to adopt a lot more technology in how they function. We are also going to see that the drug discovery, now look at that, the whole world is after creating the first COVID vaccine. True. So clinical trials and their efficacy, pharmaceutical development, R&D. So these are things that are really going to get a complete boost at this point in time, and it cannot happen without digitization. So that's going to be a must when this has to happen. And not far is the day actually when the 5G networks become a reality in most parts of the world. You can even have robotic operations. So there could be a doctor sitting in the US or Canada or Australia operating on somebody in India or Africa, or an Indian doctor who are so much in demand now operating on somebody halfway across the world. So those are going to be, I mean, baby steps, I think the industry is taking, but there will be giant leaps soon once they start feeling comfortable. My own family doctor is getting into telemedicine for the first time. I'm feeling comfortable in making sure that, we have that connect. So I think wonderful things are in store for this industry. They should leverage this opportunity and encash it to the fullest. Because it will improve the treatment, it will improve the relationship between the patient and the doctor. It could take away administrative work away from our nurses and medical staff, free up their time so they can focus on the patient experience rather than filling forms and managing files. So you see, so digitization has, I mean, I can talk for a day on this, and I'm very passionate, as you can see.
I know that.
Yeah. So this is something I see as a very positive trend and an outcome of COVID. We just need to now walk the talk and make sure that we start seeing benefits and spreading it, especially to the lower income groups and the rural economy across the world, certainly in India.
So for all the healthcare professionals listening to this video or the live session, I hope you've heard her correctly. Digital is a new future for your business. Telemedicals, tele-appointments, e-appointments will be the new keywords in your life. And I really request you all, my sister is a doctor, and also I've been telling her this, that you need to focus on the E part of business. So I want to ask you one more question, and this is something very close to my heart. While COVID-19 has got a lot of negative implications, there are a lot of positives also. And the one positive that I have felt myself is the ability to introspect as a leader. What changes going to bring in my life and my business, in my approach and leadership after this COVID-19 situation? As a business coach, I want to ask you this. What leadership changes do you think will happen post COVID-19? I'm talking from a CXO level perspective.
Sure. Sure. I mean, like, you have taken out the time, and I'm so glad that you introspected and perhaps you came up with findings you otherwise wouldn't have. I have the privilege of working with some really intelligent, entrepreneurial, resilient people as my clients. And we actually decided on a 3-pronged strategy, even when COVID first hit. Rather than sitting and waiting for things to improve, we said, let's seize the moment and take things in our own hand. So we set up formal reflection time. Everything to do the SWOT of the business in the new normal, so to say, amidst all the uncertainty. So reflect on where we are today, what has brought us here, where do we want to go from here, what does it take in this new world to take us there. So we did all the reflection. Then we said that let's understand when the lockdown opens, how prepared are we? Or are we going to wait for the government to make that announcement and then decide our strategy? Most of them said, no, that's not going to happen. And we actually started to create strategies so that they are prepared the moment the lockdown starts to get relaxed. I call that how will we unlock our business from the lockdown? So we did something called Restart. As a program, as a strategy, and everything that would come under Restart in terms of looking at how your finances are managed, looking at your organization, looking at if there are going to be any compliance issues that might change at this point in time, if our organization will need reskilling, upskilling, also all of those things, and what does it really take to restart the business on day one once the lockdown is over. And I'm so glad we did that, because that's really proving to be beneficial for them now. And the third thing we said, that today the restart was more about as is right now, right? But then we said phase 3 would be reboot, where we were talking about reinvention. We were talking about recreation of the business model, because by that time we would get a pretty good hang on which way is their industry going, what does the ecosystem in general look like, what kind of stimuluses or stimuli are possible to leverage, which the government might have announced, which industry bodies might have announced. With some, if they are startups, then some VCs are also putting together funds and programs. So what can we really leverage so that we increase the cash runway? We also look at what the world would need versus what we were making, and how do we start to prepare ourselves to maybe pivot if that's necessary, or to fine tune and move with some adaptation to our existing business model, product portfolio, go to market strategy. For some of them who were not so gung-ho about using digital marketing earlier, or augmenting and spending on their online presence earlier, suddenly they've woken up to the fact that, oh my God, I will not survive without that. Forget about thriving. So then our go-to-market will start to look very different. But the way you run an offline business versus an online business is different. So how do we prepare ourselves, mindset-wise, resources, organization, all of that? So that's when I think bucketing it in the reflect, restart, reboot phases was very, very helpful for the clients.
Superb. So 3 Rs. Three
R's.
That's your formula.
Yes, that's my formula.
So I was listening to our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, in his last address, and he spoke about something called being vocal for local. And in a typical business sense, we've been always advising our clients to focus on the local market, the local niche. Okay. Now, with this thing being, being exposed to all the micro SMEs, the MSMEs, what do you think? What are your tips for them to leverage, or your advice for them to focus on the local market in order to be vocal for the local?
I think firstly, MSMEs would be perhaps the most vocal for local. It's another thing that nobody listens to them enough to really fight for their cause and to augment their visibility in our entire financial and economic ecosystems. But nonetheless, I think every crisis comes with a hidden opportunity, and now suddenly we are recognizing the urban poor we had forgotten about with the cause of the migrants. I think the MSMEs are also getting some renewed focus, attention from the government, from the industry bodies, because they don't have any one unified association to really fight for them, and fight for them with empathy, coming from feeling their pain and understanding what's practically needed for these small enterprises. For me, I see that the leadership for MSMEs must definitely see this as a big opportunity. But a practical sense is giving us some other cues. Mm-hmm. So again, in 6 months' time, almost like 80% of them said, and this includes startups as well, 80% of them said in 6 months or less, they would be either scaling down their operations or shutting down their operations, or they would put up their businesses for sale because they can't see themselves surviving. Right, and this is where I think they need a lot of hand-holding. They need very viable, packages which would put money in the hands where it is, in the right hands at the right time. Both of them will be important for their survival. And I think, as far as leadership in those MSMEs is concerned, they need to do whatever it takes, not take it like a losing battle, but really fight it out. So again, there I would say that I would ask them to also reflect and reevaluate how they've been doing businesses. A lot of them could automate, use technology, but they've been resisting it. I think now they need to see the mirror and really respond to what's really happening around them in a way that they become more open to using this crisis and converting that to an opportunity. So I think openness to study the environment, to take the good from it, and to show the resilience to fight it out, make better connections, better relationships, reach out proactively to people, and so many will help them back. Right? There are founders who reached out to me, specifically women founders whose businesses were in trouble. I am mentoring them. I am coaching them, even pro bono. I can't do that for everybody, but the ones I could, I did. So similarly, if you don't take the first step as an entrepreneur, nobody's going to come and really save you. So don't wait for somebody to do that. You're in a business. Behave like an entrepreneur, like a business person, right? That's my second advice. The third would be to really look at seizing all opportunities. There would be, cheaper loans available at this point in time. There would be talent which otherwise was difficult to hire, but with all the layoffs happening from the mid to the big companies, some of them might be interested to even come and work for you. But if you keep your eyes closed, you will not be able to, have the opportunity to hire some great talent. So I would really say, again, be very sensitive to what's happening, be on the lookout, and good people can help you to, bail yourself out of the crisis faster. And then look at, again, the sentence of what you make and what people will need now. Right? So I'll give you an interesting example. I read recently that a very small jeweler in Jaipur, who's been a jeweler for the last 25 years, the moment the lockdown was announced and it was conveyed that only essential services would run, those shops could be kept open, this jeweler converted his jewelry shop into a vegetable and grocery shop, literally over a weekend. And he said, I repurposed my staff. I repurposed my, only asset, my shop. And he said, I was in business on a Monday. I mean, by doing this on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then he suddenly had, people walking in, women walking in, and hey, a lot of his old customers, where he could stay connected. And he said that at this point in time, I understand, aapke liye sabzi bhaji lena sabse zaruri hai, and that's what I'm doing for you at this point in time. And when good times will come, of course, you'll marry your daughter or son or have that big party, and we will buy and sell jewelry again. So to me, that's on your feet entrepreneurial thinking. Right. So these are classic, signs that we want people to really pick up, share these examples, best practices, and just don't give up yourself. Don't let anybody around you give up. That's my endeavor actually for the last 2+ months now. Give hope, give inspiration, give practical advice. And that's why I'm with all of you today as well on Jackson's invitation too.
Great. So from established business to startups, India has been home to startups. But before COVID-19, we have seen startups popping up almost every new day. Yes. So post COVID-19, I want to ask you, what would be your advice to new entrepreneurs, new startups? What is your biggest advice to them?
So I think a crisis, like I said, also brings out opportunities, and the world suddenly is more aware of new problems that it has, which means actually every problem is an opportunity in disguise. And there would be smart entrepreneurs who are seizing this. So when they read the daily newspaper, like an ordinary person, they would not see that as a problem. They would say, okay. So if this is affecting people negatively and so many people need this, then I'm the person to actually take this service or product to them. And that's the birth of an idea where you are solving real problems. If you are serious about becoming an entrepreneur in the next 2 years, I would say research a lot more. These are uncertain times. Uncertainty both in terms of when you will put your own money if you plan to be bootstrapped, or of course when you go asking for a fund raise, from seed funds or angel investors or family offices or VC firms. So this is going to be extremely important because everybody is going to sort of bet on a winning horse. And for you to be the winning horse, make sure that the problem that you're trying to solve is a real problem. It's not a vitamin. I mean, think about a life-saving drug now, right? Which is so needed. So if you have hit upon that big idea, I think that is solving a real problem. Number one, that's really always been the case, but I think now more than ever, because funds would be scarce, or more scarce than before, perhaps, or the questions that you might need to answer might be more compared to, say, the good old times a few years back. So that's one serious, big, important problem that you are solving. Secondly, also evaluate what is the size of market. How much would consumers be willing to pay for something like that? Do some research of people who are doing similar things, or talk to experts in that particular field. Spend a little bit more time before you start coding and creating the next product, a real product or a digital product, right? So that's going to be pretty important. The size of the market, if it's large enough, you will find very, very interested investors coming in and even betting on you very early, pre-revenue. The third stage or third thing that you need to really look at is how convinced are you about your idea?
True.
Are you doing this for reasons which are just convenient? For example, I got laid off. It's the latest fad to be an entrepreneur. So what are your reasons? Or two friends got together and they thought that this is cool and we've been wanting to do this. Let's jump at it now. So really reflect on your reasons on why you want to become an entrepreneur at this point in time. Because if your founding team is a strong team, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why investors, other stakeholders would bet on you too. So I would really, make this a threefold introspection before jumping in and starting my new venture.
Superb. I mean, this live session has been really insightful and rewarding for me. We spoke about things like customer demand. We spoke about the changing environment. We spoke about startups. We spoke about the role of digital technologies. So thank you so much for your time. I know the time is pressing, so I can't keep on asking you questions. But before we sign off, tell us more about your upcoming projects, your new ventures.
Sure. So intentionally, I am actually prioritizing my time now, Jackson, for startups and working with startups, especially in beauty, wellness, fashion, healthcare, and what I call as contemporary living lifestyle products. Such as consumer durables, electronics, accessories, fun stuff, basically. So these are products and services which touch our lives, the lives of an everyday consumer on an everyday basis, and this is where I am really working with some very good people, want to work with even more people in this space as their business strategy consultant, partnering with them, not just to get out of the COVID and survive, but how do you thrive in the new normal? And really think big and think in terms of could you be the next unicorn the world would be talking about in, say, 5 years' time. So really, working with founders and business leaders like that. And then, like you rightly mentioned, I am already a business coach. So I work with CEOs, CXOs to help them navigate these times of uncertainty. Also, coaching is a good thing to have at that level. It's very lonely at the top. I have been a CEO myself. I know that. And if you have somebody who understands what you're going through, gives you perspective when you most need it, and helps you to acquire some new skills, techniques, and tips which can help you to create a more sustainable business as well as a happier organization, I think that's what I am all about. I work with a technique called positioning, which means I help businesses, teams, and leaders to find their true purpose and to position their brand based on that purpose. So that's my technique for positioning, and I'm excited to really take it to even more people in this scenario too.
So am I, and I've been following you for the last 2 years now. We've been friends for the last 2 years, and you've been a great well-wisher to me also. I remember all our conversations. So I am really fond of what you do, and I wish you all the best for your future. For viewers who would wish to connect with Shilpa, can go to unomantra.com. That's a website. On Instagram, her handle is Shilpa Ajwani. Twitter, it is Uno Mantra. LinkedIn, it is Shilpa Ajwani Uno Mantra. So you can find her on social media. She's super active on social media. Her website is top class. So go ahead, find her out. And if you are somebody who are in need of an expert advice, I think Shilpa is the go-to resource, go-to person for that. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. And I really enjoyed asking questions. I hope you enjoyed answering them. I hope so.
No, thanks for all the wonderful questions, connecting back with me. And I really see a true entrepreneur in you. It's been lovely to see your journey of evolution. And it's amazing. So just don't stop. Keep reaching out to all these wonderful people. Help them upgrade, get a bigger dream, and connect them with people who can help them to build on that dream, Jackson. You're a great medium to do that. All my very best to you and everybody listening today.
Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much once again for talking to me live, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.
See you soon. Bye bye. Stay safe, stay upbeat, everybody.